Big Z, Zion Williamson, out there in the bayou. Is he living up to the hype or not?
Baby Bron Zion Williamson living up to the hype? I think so. December 30th, the Pelicans were 23-12, tied for first in the West.
2 months later, sitting at a 500 team, middle of the West. Zion's absent, the biggest reason for that, and I'm not letting him off the hook.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
There ain't no hope to let him off. Zion is living up to the hype, man. If we look at his numbers, we look at what he did. Brandon Ingram was out. Zion Williamson stepped up. He said, put the team on my back right quick, stepping up his season averages for the time to 29 in that stretch, man. But in this season, limited 29 games, my boy Zion averaging the 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, showing he could do a little bit of it all, showing that he deserves that Baby Bron comp.
Well, he's definitely a force of nature. You mentioned it, 26-7, and on an otherworldly efficiency. I'm with it all. Undoubted talent. But he has not lived up to the enormous hype that surrounded him when he came into the league. I mean, he struggled with injuries, he struggled with defense, and has yet to lead his team to the playoffs. Don't forget, that run New Orleans made was without him last year. So that to-do list is a lot longer than the accomplishments right now for Big Z in the Bayou.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, Zion, at the end of the day, you can't touch on the injury, right? You know what I'm saying? Those speak for itself. And I think he's been in the league, 3 seasons now, a total of 114 games. That's definitely a knock. But he ain't no Greg Oden. Zion Williamson, in the time that he's been in the game, time that he's had the opportunity to perform from day one, has showed up and showed out. But again, the one knock to Zion so far is he hasn't showed up too many times, But when he shows up, he shows out. That's for sure.
Yeah, man, but we're just seeing flashes right now. I'm not going to let you lower the bar. This was the consensus #1 pick back in 2019. Must-see TV. Yet his Duke brother has more NBA points than him. Kobe White has more points than him. Keldon Johnson has more points than him. All in that 2019 draft class. What's the point in having a Ferrari if you can't even drive it, bro?
Hey, you're right. You've got a point. You know what it was, man. Zion had his team set up for the playoffs. Ingram went down, and again, Zion stepped up, averaging 28 a night. In the same conversation with those guys that you mentioned in terms of the numbers, getting them to 23 and 14. It's not his fault he got injured. It's not his fault. He's a big boy, you know what I'm saying? And it's not his fault that they lost 10 straight without him. So I hear your arguments, but we can't fault the big fella just yet.
Yeah, I guess you can't fault him for being injured, but I think when you're talking about living up to expectations, being on the court has a little something to do with it. So while I think he'll get there, he's definitely not at that point yet. Let's talk about on the court. He's a weak link on defense, unable to stay in front of quick-twitch perimeter guards, and often unengaged on the help side. While he's a prolific scorer, I'm going to give you that. His overall offensive game lacks the playmaking, the ball handling you see from the other top players in this game. And let's be honest, that's who we're comparing him to because that's who we were told he'd be.
Hey, I'm there with you, but I'll tell you what, a guy like Zion doesn't need to dribble the rock like Chris Paul. He's got the unique combination of size, strength, athleticism. That's his game. It makes him nearly impossible to defend. He can hang with the best that this game has to offer. He can shoot the 3. He intimidates defenses night in and night out. He really has shown us in the time that he's been on the floor that he's an elite player.
All right, that's fair. I mean, the flashes, they have been great. He looks like one of the game's greats when he's out there. Remember that opening night, the debut, scoring 17 straight points in his first game on an NBA hardwood. He's became an all-star in every healthy season he's played, but he's also missed over 60% of the games through his career. That playing time, that missed playing time has prevented him from reaching his potential, at least the way I see it. So how can you live up to the hype when you can't even stay on the court?
You've got a point, man, right? We've seen players kind of go through worse. We had to trust the process with Joel Embiid, and we didn't even see the 25 PER that we're seeing from Zion Williamson in his limited time. And we didn't even see the numbers and the relative efficiency, especially for someone from his position, from the field and from the 3. Good enough free throw shooter. When healthy, Zion is him. So let's just trust the process. In his time on the floor, he has lived up to the hype, but it's hard to cement that with the time he's missed.
That's a good comp there with Joel Embiid, because I didn't think about that. They both had we're showing flashes. This could be generational, but I can't string 60 games together long enough for people to see it really.
Facts.
See me really pull it together. The issue with Zion that's a little bit different than Embiid is we all kind of knew the problem before he played his first game on the NBA hardwood. I didn't want to make this about his weight, but the question's always been there since their draft day, since Duke. 60 pounds heavier than the average 6'6" player, the 4th heaviest player in the NBA right now. He's yet to prove that it can work in terms of staying on the court. How do we see that changing unless he changes first?
You've got a point. And the next comp that comes to mind really is great round mound of rebound. Charles Barkley. I think this is more of a similar situation. But when Charles Barkley was finally able to get his weight stuff right, this guy was MVP of the league. And so we hope that Zion is able to do the same. We can see he's definitely got the potential to do it, but we've all got to keep it a buck here. Unless Zion drops some weight off his frame, slims down even a little bit more than he did coming into this season, it's hard to see the longevity. It's possible. I'm rooting for him. We'll just have to see.
All right, that's gonna do it. Before we get y'all out of here, we gotta tell y'all about the best men's hair care, groom care brand in the game, man. If you got that Patches O'Houlihan on your beard, need to get that thing filled in, check out EvanAlexanderGrooming.com.
That's right. No other place to go. EvanAlexanderGrooming.com is the place to be. They got it all. For the hair, for the beard, for the skin, they got you. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to put in that promo code hoop_plug_ for that fat 15% off, you know what I'm saying? Supporting them and supporting us is supporting a healthy hairline. You know what I mean? And with that being said, another episode of the Hoop Plug in the books.